All right, so today we are going deep on AfroEye research.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they work with CATI, computer-assisted telephone interviewing across Africa, and we've got their quality control manual.
Wow.
It's really detailed and pretty incredible how thorough they are at every stage of the process.
I've heard that they do work in some pretty tough
Oh
environments.
yeah, places like South Sudan?
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely a unique set of challenges, with connectivity and languages and all the cultural nuances.
Yeah, for sure.
How do they even begin to make sure the data they're getting is reliable with all of that going on?
Well, that's exactly what we are going to find out.
Okay, let's do it.
So the thing that really stood out to me at first was like this commitment to quality even before they start collecting any data.
Oh, yeah.
It's like this whole thing about building trust, like right from the start.
Interesting. So how does that actually work in practice? Like, what do they do?
Well, it starts with the questionnaire.
Oh, okay.
So first of all, it has to be fully approved by the client. And then they go through their database and they are removing any duplicates,
Okay.
verifying contact info, really making sure that the sample group is actually like, reflecting the target population.
Makes sense. Like, you can't build a house on a shaky foundation.
Yeah, exactly.
And that initial rigor is going to prevent so many errors later on.
Totally. And then get this, they have this whole process for like testing and refining the survey instrument.
Wait, so they don't just like write the survey and send it out?
Oh, no. They have multiple staff members review it to catch any potential problems or things that are unclear.
Wow.
They even do dummy interviews, which I thought was pretty cool.
Dummy interviews. What's that?
So they actually go through the whole interview process as if it was real, just to make sure that everyone understands the questions and the flow and how to handle different responses.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's all about minimizing bias and just maximizing clarity from the very beginning.
So it's like a dress rehearsal before the real performance.
Exactly. Like you got to make sure you got everything right.
You know, that really speaks to this broader point about research integrity.
Yeah.
Like, if you want good data, you've got to have a well-designed survey, and
Yeah.
you have to test it thoroughly.
Yeah, it's like making sure you have a scale that's actually calibrated correctly.
You
Right.
really?
If you want accurate measurements, you got to have the right tool for the job.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a well-designed questionnaire, thoroughly prepped interviewers, a clean database, and they're finally ready to start collecting data.
Okay.
You think they could relax a bit?
I don't know. They seem pretty intense about this stuff.
Oh, they are. This is where their real-time quality control kicks in.
Real time. What do you mean?
So think daily check-ins with the interviewers, like making sure everything's going okay.
Okay.
And get the random walk-ins.
Walk-ins.
Yeah, the supervisors will like randomly listen in on live interviews.
Ooh, talk about pressure.
Yeah, it definitely keeps everybody on their toes.
I bet.
And this is super crucial because it allows for like immediate course correction.
Oh.
If there's any problems, they can address them right away.
So they're constantly making sure things are running smoothly.
Exactly. And they don't stop there.
Oh, no.
They review recorded interviews too at specific points to make sure everybody's on the same page and the quality is consistent.
So it's like having a coach on the sidelines making sure everybody is playing their best.
I like that. Yeah.
And you know what else? They have this system for tracking interviewer performance,
Oh, wow.
daily feedback and incentives to encourage high-quality work.
So they're really invested in their team.
They are.
But what happens when all the data's collected? Yeah, all that hard work.
Yeah.
You think they're finally done?
I'm starting to think they're never done.
You're right.
What happens next?
This is where AfroEye's dedication to objectivity really comes in.
Okay.
They have a completely independent team that does a 5% back-check verification of all the interviews.
5%! That seems like a lot.
It is. It's definitely on the higher end.
Wow.
But it shows just how much they care about accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just trusting, they're verifying.
I like it.
And remember those interviewer assessments we talked about?
Yeah.
They use those to incentivize the high performers, but also to identify any areas where interviewers might need more training or support.
So they're constantly learning and growing.
Yeah, always trying to improve.
That philosophy.
Me too. And
It's-
even after all of that, they still don't just hand over the data.
Oh, no. What else is there?
There's a final data review and cleaning process.
So like they're polishing it up, making it shine.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And they're even using AI-driven tools to make this part even more accurate and efficient.
AI. Now that's where things get interesting.
I know, right?
Let's talk more about that.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, this is the part that really gets me excited.
Oh, yeah.
Using AI to clean the data, catch those little tiny mistakes that even the best human might miss.
So like a super smart assistant making sure everything's perfect.
Exactly. Plus, it speeds things up, too.
Oh, so it's more efficient.
Yeah, by automating some of the data cleaning it, frees up AfroEye's team to focus on those more tricky parts of quality control that really need that human touch.
So it's a win-win. They get to keep their high standards, and the clients get their insights faster.
Exactly.
And their use of tech doesn't stop there.
What else do they do?
They have this amazing live dashboard that's tracking all kinds of things.
Oh, wow.
Interviewer performance, response rates, all in real time.
So they can see what's happening as it's happening.
Yep, which means if any issues come up, they can deal with them right away.
So they're super agile.
Yeah, and it all comes back to keeping that data quality high.
Pretty impressive.
It is. But I'm curious about something.
What's that?
How do they handle the human side of things? We're talking about really diverse cultures and contexts, especially in a place like South Sudan.
You know, that's where AfroEye really shines.
Oh, yeah.
They really emphasize cultural sensitivity. They go way beyond just translating things.
Oh,
They actually hire native language speakers, not just as interviewers, but as part of their quality control team, too.
wait, so the people checking the data understand the language used in the interviews?
Exactly, which means you're getting that linguistic accuracy, but also it helps build trust and rapport with the respondents.
I can see that. Like if you're being interviewed in your own language by somebody who understands your culture, it just makes you feel more comfortable.
Yeah, you're more likely to give honest and insightful answers.
So it's less like an interrogation and more like a conversation.
Exactly, and it's recognizing that at the end of the day, this is a human interaction, and those interactions are influenced by all sorts of cultural norms and expectations.
So by taking all of that into account, AfroEye ensures that their data actually reflects the people they're working with.
Yeah, it's respecting those communities and making sure their voices are heard.
Okay, so we've talked about all these amazing processes and procedures, but what about transparency?
Oh, they've got that covered too.
Really? How so?
They record all of their calls and voice interactions, creating this whole audit trail of everything they do.
Whoa, hold on. Recording the interviews, doesn't that feel a bit intrusive?
It might seem that way, but it's actually about building trust with their clients.
Oh, okay.
It means they can go back and verify everything was done correctly.
So it's more about accountability then.
Exactly. It's like saying, hey, here's everything we did, every step we took to make sure your data is top-notch.
I see. So it's not about Big Brother, it's about transparency.
Exactly.
I'm really noticing a pattern here. Everything AfroEye does is about maintaining these super high standards of quality and making sure the data is accurate, reliable, and, ethically sourced.
Yeah, they found this great balance between being thorough and respectful, using technology, but also that human element.
And it's working for them.
It is. It's a model that other organizations could really learn from.
I agree. This has been fascinating.
It
It's really eye-opening to see how research can be done with integrity and cultural sensitivity, especially in these complex and sometimes challenging settings.
It's inspiring to see them doing this kind of work.
Okay, so as we're getting to the end of our deep dives into AfroEye research, I want to leave our listeners with a question.
Oh,
In a world that's becoming more and more reliant on data, what responsibilities do companies like AfroEye have to make sure their methods are transparent and that they are prioritizing this cultural sensitivity?
that's a great question, and I think it's something we all need to think about, right? Data isn't just numbers. It represents people and their lives and their experiences, and we need to make sure that those stories are being told accurately and respectfully.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
It's been great chatting with you about this.
Likewise, until next time. Thinking about AfroEye and their approach, one thing that stands out is how deeply connected they are to the communities they're working with.
Yeah, it's more than just collecting data. It's about being a part of those communities, understanding those nuances, especially across such a diverse continent like Africa.
Yeah.
Every country has its own cultural norms, local languages, and they really get that.
Let's say they understand that data represents real people and their experiences.
Real people with unique perspectives.
We talked earlier about how AfroEye uses native speakers, not just for the interviews, but for the quality control too.
Right.
What kind of impact does that have on the research, do you think?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, first of all, you're ensuring that everything is being translated and interpreted accurately.
Yeah.
But it also goes way beyond that. You're building this level of trust and understanding that just wouldn't be there otherwise.
It's like you said before, it becomes more of a conversation.
Exactly. Imagine being interviewed in your own language by someone who really gets your culture.
Yeah.
You're going to be way more comfortable sharing your honest thoughts and feelings.
Totally. It's less like you're being interrogated.
Yeah, it's a much more natural and open exchange of information.
So instead of just like extracting data, they're really engaging with the communities on a deeper level.
Exactly, and that's what good research should be about.
Yeah?
Amplifying voices, sharing those stories, and helping everyone understand each other better.
AfroEye is setting a great example here.
They are.
Not just for other research organizations in Africa, but globally.
Yeah.
It's like a reminder that data collection is never neutral. It's always influenced by, social and cultural and even political factors.
That's so important to remember.
And that's why cultural sensitivity and ethical considerations are so essential.
You want to make sure that the data you're collecting is accurate and reliable and that you're treating the people involved with respect.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a fascinating look at AfroEye's quality control process.
It has.
As we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay.
In this age of big data, we're constantly bombarded with information. But we need to be more careful about where that data is coming from.
You should always be asking those questions.
Yeah. Who collected it? How did they collect it? What were their methods?
Exactly. We need to hold organizations accountable.
As consumers of data, we have a responsibility to demand transparency and to support those companies like AfroEye that are prioritizing ethical and culturally sensitive practices.
Because ultimately it's about people,
Yeah.
their stories, their experiences, their perspectives.
We need to make sure that those stories are being told truthfully and respectfully.
It's about recognizing the richness and complexity of the world.
Well said. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of AfroEye research.
It was a pleasure.
And until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.